Hello, everybody. My name is Andy Sokolovich, and I am a Gallup certified strengths coach, owner of UnleashStrengths.com, and the chief strengths coach in charge. Theme-Addicts, what you're watching right now is a video series that I created to highlight the massive impact the StrengthsFinder assessment and the book StrengthsFinder 2.0 has had on now 11. That's right. We surpassed 10. We've gone past 11. We're creeping on 12, but now past 11 million users. It's our belief, and mine as well, that the best way to promote the effectiveness and proven results of the Clifton StrengthsFinder is to interview people who've had firsthand success with this tool. Each person being interviewed today completely understands their strengths and just wants to share their strength story with you. For more information or to review a recorded version of this broadcast, you can go to UnleashStrengths.com. To schedule an interview, we're always looking for new people to interview. It doesn't matter what your age is, if you're a strengths guru, if you're a strengths coach. All I want is that you are willing to sit down and talk with me, Andy, about your strengths journey. That's it. One prerequisite. That's it. There's nothing else that need to be. So please join me on the show. You can contact me by emailing Andy, A-N-D-Y, at UnleashStrengths.com, or give us a call, 815-441-2219. I'm going to throw some more stuff in here because I always forget it. Hit us up on social media, Facebook.com/UnleashStrengths, Twitter @UnleashCSF. iTunes, that's right. We have reached the big time. We are on iTunes. If you go to iTunes and go into the store, search under podcasts and just type in Theme-Addicts, you'll find us there. You can subscribe to all of our past episodes, this being number 17. So we're creeping up on 20, and that's my first milestone for the show. And we're also available on a little website called Spreaker. It's like speaker with an R, Spreaker.com. So today, I have the amazing opportunity to interview Joni Lynn Nelson from Texas. And Joni actually reached out to me not too long ago because in March, I believe, you will be attending the Gallup Certified or Accelerated Strengths Coach. I'll start over then. Accelerated Strengths Coaching Course. Gosh, that's a tough one to say. In Omaha, Nebraska. And she agreed to be my guest today for episode number 17. So, Joni, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce us to your experience with StrengthsFinder, and tell us your top 5.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate your time and you talking about Clifton StrengthsFinders and trying to promote that. It's an awesome, awesome, awesome program. I absolutely love it. So my name's Joni Lynn Nelson. I live in Texas, and I grew up here, born in Indiana, so I call myself the Southern Hoosier. So you can tell by the accent I've been in Texas many years. But my top 5 are empathy, responsibility, belief, deliberative, and relator. I actually reversed 2 of them, so it's empathy, responsibility, deliberative, belief, relator. Yes, that is my top 5. But I always have to add my next 2, which are harmony and developer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now that's 2 interviews in a row now that I've done where the first interview I did prior to this one with Janet, she pulled in another 4 to make her top 9.
Right.
You morphed 5 into a top 7. But I love that because we're not limited by just those 5 themes. So it's really cool when people kind of think outside the box and delve a little bit deeper into their top 10, if you will.
Right.
Very
yeah.
cool. Well, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you.
So if I throw up the Longhorns, then that's a good thing?
Always.
So, Joni, tell us a little bit about who introduced you to strengths and why. How did the concept of strengths-based development enter your life?
Well, I work for a fantastic organization, and probably 2 years ago, the project director was kind enough to get the top 5 for all of us employees. So that's where I got started with it. So we learned about each other's top 5. We put it on our cubicles and everything. And that was like the tip of the iceberg, like, this is fascinating. And then, like a lot of things, it got tucked on the shelf for a bit. But that's how I got introduced to it and fell in love with it immediately.
Good. That's awesome. I always love when I hear about whether it be managers or human resource team or your supervisor or the CEO kind of bringing in StrengthsFinder into an organization. Yes. It's really neat because that just shows that they invest in their employees and they're willing to go that extra step to help them develop both personally and professionally.
Exactly. Exactly.
since the day you became aware of your top 5 or top 7, kind of talk us through that. How has your life changed? How have you been able to apply strengths in your kind of everyday routine?
Well, it's a fascinating journey. It's slow, and I've learned that deliberative kind of slows things up. So it's been kind of piecemeal, a little here, a little there, but our organization started sending groups of us to work from home. So I actually work from home. That
Oh,
started
that's
about, I love it, love it, love it. So that started about a year and a half ago, and we're going in cycles. So I started thinking, it's like, wow, this is an awesome opportunity to work from home, but it really changes your work dynamics.
mm-hmm.
Then when our sister company, or not sister company, but our other location, they started working from home, then I really started thinking about the effects on our unity, relationship, how we work together, because now it's all virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So I approached the same project director, and we talked about, shouldn't we light the fire under StrengthsFinder once again? I mean, we did the assessment, but let's start talking about it. So he agreed, because he's an awesome director, and I enjoy working for him greatly. And we just kind of started the ball rolling. So our company, we know, is going to grow 2, 3, 4 times here over the next 2 years. We've got things in the pipeline, and we're just going to explode. And more of us are going to be virtual. So because my company believes so much in employee engagement and so much in investing in their employees, that we're going to send me, yay, to Gallup next month, actually, to learn how to be an accelerated strengths coach. So when I come back, we'll start introducing it more to our teams, and then as we grow and grow and grow, we'll continue to send that out amongst the masses, so that new people who join will know that they are a part of a great organization. And for those of us that have been fortunate to be here for this long, we will be solid in our strengths. We will have things that we can give to them. So it's going to just make for, we're already a great team. I wouldn't stay here if we weren't, but it's going to make us even better. So Maximizer's 10. I cannot leave out Maximizer, because I don't know why it's not number 1 for me. I just see us going from good, great to off the charts because of StrengthsFinder.
Good. Yeah. I love, again, I know I said this before, but I love hearing stories about this, because not only, I think it's very difficult, and this is just me jumping on my soapbox, sometimes it's very difficult for companies to bring in a strengths coach, or they bring in the StrengthsFinder assessment. Everybody goes ahead and they take the assessment, they get their top 5, and then for some reason it just seems to get buried underneath the stack of everyday work. And very, not too often does it actually surface again, and people re-embrace it. Normally, once it's buried, it's gone. And I'm glad to hear that you, in your organization, were like, let's use this. Let's use this to build ourselves, because we know what our strengths are. Now let's capitalize on them. Let's leverage them to be better than we are today.
Right.
Great. Also, I think it's so cool that you're going to the accelerated coaching course in Omaha. You'll have a great time as an alum of the class of May 2014. I will say, take a lot of notes, soak up as much as you possibly can, and make some good connections while you're there. So that sounds cool.
I plan on it. I'm really, really excited about it. So it's like 2-3 weeks away.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I look forward to kind of touching base with you again once you come back and hearing about your experience.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about, you kind of told us how professionally you've been using StrengthsFinder, and how it's within your organization, and now you're working from home and those strengths are coming to play. But talk us a little bit about your everyday life, maybe your personal life. How is strengths kind of bled into that, and how are you able to apply that not only in how you conduct yourself every day, but maybe some of your relationships?
Right. It does really make a big difference. So for me, at work, like I said, we got our top 5, but in that duration, I went ahead and purchased the full 34 on my own. And that's when the real aha started. Focus is 34 for me, so it's like, oh, that explains so much about myself. So for many years, I have beat myself silly for not being like other people. Like, for example, cleaning a house, for example. The best way to clean a house is you start in a room, you work from here to here, you finish it, you move on. Easy peasy. I can't stay still. I can't even stay focused. It's like, well, this leads to that, which leads to that. So I end up being all over the house in a short amount of time. And it drives me absolutely bonkers. But learning that focus is 34 for me is like, okay, well, now I get it. So it's helped me to be more easy on myself and just embrace the lovable mess that I am. And then it helps, too, as you learn about other people, their strengths, then you can really appreciate where they're coming from and why they do things the way they do.
Yeah, and not only can you appreciate where they're coming from, but I find somebody asked me the other day, they said, well, why strengths? I said,
Awesome.
well, not only is it awesome, but I said, listen, the tool that I'm going to introduce you to is going to save you time. There's going to be no more wasted time spent emailing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There's going to be no more memos with missed messages. I want to speed the communication process up between you and your organization. And I really think that's what StrengthsFinder does, because when you understand the talents of the person you're trying to communicate with, you know exactly the information that they need in order to make a decision or how they're going to digest that information. So you can, if you're emailing somebody that has very high analytical, you're not going to send them just some blank statement with no numbers, facts, or resources. So I think it's just an awesome, awesome tool. Now, the aha moment, can you be a little bit more specific on that? I mean, you realized number 34's focus, and it kind of explained how you get from point A to point B, but was there a specific moment where you sat back and you were looking at your results from the assessment and you went, yeah, there's really some serious traction to this whole thing. This isn't just some smoke and mirrors approach to personality testing. This is real.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, when I read the assessment on my top 5, I can't hardly think of 2 sentences that did not match me. It was amazing to see myself, on paper so well. And then as I have got in touch with some of the other ones at work that also have their top 34, their responsibility reads differently than my responsibility, because the assessment takes into account all of your themes and the order in which those fall. So it's so individualized that, in my experience, it's been spot on 100%.
Yeah. And a lot of people, I mean, we talk about this in past episodes, but a lot of individuals who take the assessment do not realize that, like you said, your discipline is going to be different than their discipline. Your deliberative is going to be different than their deliberative, because it takes into consideration your full 34, the results from all of those questions, and comes up with a very individualized chunk of text that falls underneath that theme description. So
exactly.
So now, so you love strengths. You're going to become a strength coach, and now you're approaching people and you're telling them about this awesome tool called the Gallup StrengthsFinder assessment. It's in the book StrengthsFinder 2.0. Are you getting any kind of resistance from people as far as taking the assessment, and what do you say to them to kind of get them to jump over that hurdle of, great, just another personality test?
Well, so far I haven't ran into anyone that's been resistant to it, because mine is so spot on that I can talk about it wholeheartedly. I don't have any questions about it. I don't have any issues with it. I'm behind it 1,000%. So far I've not had any resistance.
Yeah, and that's amazing to hear. I mean, I can say personally I haven't had an overwhelming amount of resistance, but every once in a while you get that person that said, listen, I've done Myers-Briggs, I've done DISC. I couldn't tell you what my results were from any of those assessments. What makes this one different? And I think it's incumbent upon every single coach or every single strengths enthusiast to come up with a response to that, because if you just walk away and say, well, they're not a believer in strengths, I think you're doing them an injustice, because they're never going to be introduced to a tool that could help kind of mold the way they live their life for the remainder of it. So,
well, it's interesting you bring up Myers-Briggs, because I see a lot of back and forth on that, so people have differing opinions on it. I've took Myers-Briggs, I don't know, when I was 19, 21, and retook it 20 some odd years later, really expecting it. That makes me old. Really expecting it to be different. And, you know, I stayed the same. I am an INFJ. So when you read that personality test and then you compare it to my empathy and my relator and my develop, it's spot on too. So my experience with it is they meshed perfectly because we are who we are. The difference with StrengthsFinder is it's way more applicable to a business type environment. You know, knowing that I'm an INFJ and someone else is whatever they are doesn't really teach us how to work together better. It doesn't teach us how, well, I'm low in focus, so I need to go find someone who is focused on this project so that we get it out the door on time. So that's what makes Clifton StrengthsFinder such an amazing tool for business, because you know who to reach out to, you know how to reach out to them, you know how to work together. And speaking of working together, power of two, gotta love it. So that's another awesome tool that you can bring into your business, and it'll help tremendously. So, like I said, at work we're at the tip of the iceberg. It's not really gone anywhere yet. We're kind of waiting on me to know how to really coach properly. So going forward, it's just going to go off the charts.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I rent an office space where I'm recording today. I rent an office space in the Clinton, Iowa area Chamber of Commerce, and the chamber, if anybody knows some of my backstory, the chamber president actually introduced me to Clifton StrengthsFinder when he handed me the book StrengthsFinder 2.0 when I started my marketing company, and he's pretty much ingrained the concepts of strengths-based development within this organization. And sitting with him when he's sitting there trying to make up decisions or you know, disseminate some kind of instructions, or not so much micromanage, but just lengthen the leash, he understands that StrengthsFinder is a huge part of that decision-making process, and I absolutely applaud him for it, and I think that's why I grew to love it so much, like you said.
Yeah.
So what advice, so you and I are sitting in a room, and we're sitting behind somebody, and they're at their computer, and they get their top 5. That report comes out, they hit Control-P on the keyboard, it prints out. Now they're looking at their report, and they turn to you and they say, Joni, now what? What would be your response? You'll be better equipped to handle this question, I think, once you come back from Omaha, but off the cuff, what would you give them as step 1 to begin a life where they can appreciate their natural talents?
Well, step 1, it's usually a good idea to read the assessment that comes from the Clifton StrengthsFinder report. And then what you do appreciate, what you go, yeah, that's me. Go ahead and highlight that. So that really stands out, and you can embrace that is a part of who you are. And then sometimes, as will happen, there's a sentence or 2 sentences that you're just, doesn't quite fit me, or you really disagree with it, just mark it out. It's no big deal. It is an assessment. Humans are very complex and complicated, so, you know, like all things in life, nothing can be 100% perfect 100% of the time.
Right.
So just embrace what does fit with you, and, you know, talk about it with others. Another good idea is to have someone else read it and go, okay, this is what this says, this is what I'm reading. I don't see it. Do you see it? And sometimes that is the case. Sometimes someone else sees that quality in us that we've just not come to recognize.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because I think that happens usually when I'm coaching one-on-one individuals, and they come in and they say, well, I don't think this is me. I say, okay, before you line through it, just hand it to your husband or your boyfriend or significant other, your partner, whoever it is, and just ask them to kind of read through it. And then have them be candid with you. Is this me? Because, like you said, a lot of time it's very hard for us as individuals to be introspective and look at ourselves from the outside, or from the inside, I guess. You know what I meant.
Right.
And identify those talents within us. So very, very good point. And the highlighter method has become very, very popular, and I think more and more people are doing that as the initial step 1. And when you go to your training in Omaha, just keep the list of 34 rolling in the back of your head, and then look how everybody sets up their work area. You have people that have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different colors of highlighters, red pens, black pens, blue pens, and they're all set up. And then you have a person like me who didn't even bring a pen. I just kind of walked in, and so it's cool though. Then once you start talking about the 34 themes, you can start to look around and identify. I mean, when I was in class, we had one woman who had command, number one, and there was no doubt at all that she possessed that talent. I mean, she was, when it was coming to determine where we were going to go as a class to eat dinner that night, she made sure everybody knew where they were going, the directions we had to take to get there.
Awesome.
We're being there 15 minutes early so we can get seating, but she was very, very good. And at first you don't recognize those, but once you start to communicate with them, it'll really become evident. So yeah, that was fun, just to kind of look around and be able to apply those 34 themes to your classmates.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to it. And one theme I wish I had more of is learner, because I've discovered that people with learner tend to have a great memory. I tell people my memory is like Swiss cheese. It just, things fall through. So
yeah,
I can get you the information. It's just not necessarily in my brain. So I will be one of those with the notes and the pens, and I love colors, and so yeah, I'll be one of those.
I was sitting next to a woman, and I remember her sitting there, and we were in like day 2 or day 3, and she would already burn through a pen, like crazy notes and writing stuff in the margins. And I was looking at her, and there I sit. I had my iPad open so I could take some notes, but I just don't take notes, because this is what'll happen is I'll take notes, but I'll never ever go back and review them, so it's pointless. Right. But so I'm just sitting there, and she looks over at me and she goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I don't know what you mean." She goes, "You haven't taken a single note since you've been here." I said, "Hey, that's just kind of how I roll. Like, I just don't take notes." But then again, I retain the information through application. So I'm kind of a hands-on learner, and I think it's just cool to realize that, because you just sit around, you look at people, and you're like, man, that guy's got a voice recorder, and that person has, spent $1,000 on pens before they came here, and it's just neat to see those different comparisons.
Yes, and that's the other thing I love about StrengthsFinder, is it really helps you to embrace your uniqueness. We all have all 34, just varying degrees, and it's the degrees to which we have each of those 34 that makes us who we are. So, you can try to be someone else all you want to, but it's not going to happen. So Clifton StrengthsFinder really helps you to embrace that this is who I am, and if I will focus on my top 5, I can be an even better me than I am. I can be a more authentic me. So that's another bonus of the many.
Yeah. Plus, it's absolutely exhausting trying to be somebody that you're not, Yeah. I think that's got to be one of the hardest things. I mean, I can only imagine it wears on you after a while. Well, for a long time, I was in the military, and, okay, I'll say this. I was in the military, and then I took Clifton StrengthsFinder after I got out, and my bottom, number 34, is discipline. People hear that, and they're like, oh, wow, that really does not mesh well together.
Right.
No, I was always trying to kind of buck the system, and why are we doing it this way? Can we do it this way? And it just wasn't a good fit for me. But after 11 years, I finally realized that. Loved all my time in the military, but realized that my strengths really didn't lead well into an organization like that. So.
Exactly. And so, what are your top 5? I've heard them, but I have forgotten.
Yeah, strategic, futuristic, woo, ideation, and communication.
And see, look how perfect that is for what you're doing now. It's just
right. It's so cool. And I never before taking the assessment, I never even would have thought about this ever. So it's definitely hugely insightful. And once you can start embracing your natural talents, things just get so much easier. So looking at your top 5, or for you, your top 7, or what theme is your favorite and why? I mean, not everybody has a favorite theme, but maybe you do, and you can tell us a little bit about why you think that one really stands out amongst the others.
Right. That is a difficult question, because I really do love all 34. Some of them I'm rather envious of, like woo. It's kind of low for me. But if I had to just pick one, I would probably go with relator, because I am a very much one-on-one kind of person. Anything I do in a group setting, I tap into my other lower strengths to be able to deal with that. But one-on-one, I'll talk your leg off. I'll listen all day. I appreciate the intimacy that you can have in a one-on-one type relationship. So I can't remember if I mentioned it or not before, but no one theme stands alone. They're all a little bit different based on all the other themes that surround it, and you can couple a lot of your themes together. So when you apply my empathy with my relator, then when I am with someone and we're having a discussion, I can feel their pain, I can relate to their pain, I can try to find the silver lining, if there is one, to be a support for them. When I think about it with my developer, I think that's one of the reasons why I feel so called to coach. I mean, it's like, oh, this is it. This is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It fits so perfectly with my desire to help people be the better person that they can be. I have futuristic, so I can kind of see that, well, you're here now, but if you will do A, B, C, I see where you can go with that. And I really have a strong desire to help people grow. Harmony. I like to see people get along. I don't like disruptions and the tension. So when you couple it with other ones, you can take that strength and you can put it on a higher plane, a higher level, and make it better to help others, which is my whole purpose, is just to help. I love being a support to my team. I love being a support to my family, to my friends, to humanity.
I will say, just listening to you speak and now knowing your top 5, 6, 7, you're going to be an amazing coach.
Oh, thank you.
There's no doubt in my mind, because when we talk about theme envy, and like you said, you wish you had a little bit more woo. From my standpoint, I wish I had a little bit more empathy. I wish I had a little bit more relator. I wish I had a little bit more individualization. But that's the beauty, too, of the coaching scene, is everybody has a unique set of talents that pairs them well with a certain coaching style. And you're going to be an amazing coach on a one-on-one setting. You're going to be able to really look inside that person, identify their core talents, and help them kind of blossom those into amazing strengths. And I'm really excited for you that you're going to go get the certification, and there's no doubt in my mind that you will do just an amazing job, and I'm excited to see what you have in store for the future.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Andy. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. And the last question, I ask this every time, and people look at me and say, don't ask me that because I don't know how to answer it, but let's look back and say StrengthsFinder never really entered your life. The assessment didn't exist, and I know that's kind of hard to do, but how do you think your life would be a little bit different if you never understood your natural talents?
Honestly, that's probably something I could talk to for the next 2 hours on, but we won't. So on a personal level, it helps so much to understand, who you really are, who I really am. It put a bright light bulb on, oh, that's why I do what I do. That's why I feel how I feel. That's why I think. It just explains so much that it kind of gives you a sense of peace with who you are, and it gives you a reason to try to be the better Joni Lynn Nelson, because there's only one me. Thank goodness for that. There is only one me. And so I need to embrace that, embrace the wonderful mess that I am, and just take that to the next level and keep improving, keep striving to do better, and keep sharing what I have learned with StrengthsFinder. On a business level, that's huge. Of course, my employers will love to hear this. But, I've been in the workforce nearly 35 years, and my knee-jerk reaction to all my jobs is my first 6 months to a year, I am in heaven. I'm learning something new. I'm meeting new people. My jobs tend to flip, 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 flip. I've done everything from childcare, pizza delivery, to being a supervisor, to where I am now. So I've been all over. So the first initial part is exciting because it's new, because I'm always doing something different. And then the second stage of my job, I'm fine-tuning. I have Maximizers 10, so I like to fine-tune the processes, fine-tune how I do things, how the company does things, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then by the time I get to step 3, it's like, well, okay, now I'm bored. Mm-hmm. Bring me something new. And this is the first company that I have worked for that is truly about employee engagement, investing in the employee. Actually, the vice president and the project director both told me that, we are willing to fund what it's going to take money-wise to get you to Gallup, to do the StrengthsFinder assessment, to be a certified coach, because we believe in you. Mm. So I'm floored, but that's how they view all of us. It's not just me. It's really all of us that work there. And I just get to be the one that gets to learn and coach the others because they believe in our company. They both are awesome, awesome leaders. So my normal work history is by about the 3-year mark, I'm long gone. If 3 years is my top time frame with any company. Well, I'm having my 3-year anniversary at work here on the 19th. So, and I'm not going anywhere. So had StrengthsFinder not come into my life when it did, my gypsy blood would already be running and I would already be ready to move on. But because this is such a great organization and because StrengthsFinder is such a valuable tool and, my company believes in our people so much that this is the first time I can see myself staying till retirement.
Good. That's awesome. I love hearing stuff like that because, if you follow the Gallup StrengthsFinder groups on Facebook, and they're called the coach groups. You hear a lot of stories like this, but just think about your everyday interaction with people. Usually it's like you said in the beginning, you get bored and you jump ship, or you feel like you're attached at the ankle to that organization simply because of a paycheck or the benefits. Right. And very few people, I think, are still... I don't want to say very few because I think more and more people are starting to say, hey, this is my life. I only get one. And they're kind of looking for different opportunities. But it's important to recognize those things, those talents in people, and help them kind of embrace them and build them into strengths and try something else out. And you were lucky enough to find a job that kind of fits your desires and your needs and really invested in you, both probably emotionally and as well as, paying for you to go get the certification. So that's awesome. I applaud your employers.
Yes, I do too. They are awesome.
Well, Joni, thank you so much for being a guest today on Theme-Addicts. And I think I'm going to title this one, what did you say, Beautiful Mess? Mm-hmm. That may be the title. Who knows? But I love it. And again, I think you're going to be an amazing coach.
Thank
I'm
you.
So excited to hear about your experience in Omaha. So
yes, I will be sure to tell you all about it. You'll be hard to get me to shut up.
We'll schedule interview round 2. We'll give you about 6 months to get your feet wet with the coaching scene and working with your coworkers and your bosses and stuff about StrengthsFinder, and then we'll bring you back on the show and you can tell us what you've learned.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. This is Andy Sokolovich from UnleashStrengths.com. Thank you for listening to another episode of Theme-Addicts, the only show that helps embrace your addiction to strength. So always stay addicted. Again, if you want to watch the replay of this episode, go ahead and hit us up at UnleashStrengths.com and just click on that button that says Theme-Addicts. If you want to cruise around and troll us on social media, Facebook.com/UnleashStrengths, and we're on Twitter at UnleashCSF. Again, that's at UnleashCSF, and this is on iTunes. So if you go on iTunes and search in the iTunes store under podcast just for Theme-Addicts, you'll find us 17 episodes deep now, so pretty exciting. Thanks again for Joni Lynn Nelson for being our guest, and this is your host, Andy Sokolovich, closing this one out. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.